Gene Siskel called the 1970s the last golden era of filmmaking, and he wasn't shy about criticizing what came after. In this video, we dive into his hand-picked list of 70s movies that are still worth watching today. Number 5 on the list might surprise you. Siskel even called it Jack Nicholson's best performance. John Badham's disco blockbuster may seem like an odd choice for a best of the 1970s list, but the film was Gene Siskel's favorite movie, and he went so far as to buy John Travolta's famous white suit in 1978 for $2,000 and sold it at auction 17 years later for $145,000. The film now stands as a snapshot of American pop culture during its brief obsession with the disco dance craze. The film, admittedly, isn't quite in the same league as other films on the list, but Siskel loved the mix of the gritty life in Brooklyn and the clubs that offered an escape. This two-part epic follows a Swedish family as they leave their failing farm for a better life in America. In a rare occurrence, the film earned a 1972 Best Foreign Language Film Oscar nomination. But after a wide release in America the following year, the film earned 4 more nominations in 1973 for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress. That same year, the sequel, The New Land, which followed the family's attempt to build a home in Minnesota, earned a Best Foreign Language Film Oscar nomination. Director Bernardo Bertolucci's Last Tango in Paris remains a strikingly provocative romantic drama more than 50 years after its release. Released a year after his triumph in The Godfather, Marlon Brando picked up the 7th of his 8 Best Actor Oscar nominations, although he didn't win, likely due to his infamous protest at the previous awards ceremony. Bertolucci earned a Best Director nomination but didn't win either, although he would finally win one for The Last Emperor. In The Butcher, Claude Chabrol directs his wife Stéphane Audran, who plays a schoolteacher who befriends a butcher in a small French village. When people start dropping dead in a series of grisly murders, the teacher begins to suspect her new friend is behind it. The film is a slow burn, but the tension builds deliberately as love, murder, and betrayal all intersect. The Last Detail is a hilarious story about 2 Navy petty officers, Jack Nicholson and Otis Young, escorting a prisoner, Randy Quaid, to serve out an 8-year sentence for stealing $40 from an admiral's wife. This is a dramedy so profane, Columbia actually considered shelving the picture from wide release until Nicholson won the Best Actor award at the Cannes Film Festival. Nicholson, Quaid, and Town earned Oscar nominations. Siskel said years later the film features arguably Jack Nicholson's best performance, which is saying a lot, he admitted. The landmark documentary The Sorrow and the Pity was first released in West Germany in late 1969, but finally saw a US release in 1972, earning rave reviews and a Best Documentary Oscar nomination. Considered by Siskel as one of the greatest movies ever made, the film interviewed former Nazi officers and French citizens about their experiences. While there are some heroic stories of resistance, in one chilling scene after another, a number of Frenchmen recount how they collaborated with the Nazis in an effort to save themselves from the wrath of German soldiers. Woody Allen's personal scandals have cast a pall over many of his films, but Annie Hall should be appreciated for the effervescent performance by Diane Keaton, who won an Oscar for her iconic role. Siskel called it the decade's funniest film, praising it as sweet, painful, and always very funny. Woody Allen won the Best Director Oscar, and the film was named Best Picture. Martin Scorsese's breakthrough film, Mean Streets, featured Harvey Keitel as a hoodlum trying to make a life in New York City's Little Italy. His love life is on the rocks, and his troublemaking best friend, Robert De Niro, in his first film with Scorsese, is putting their lives at risk with the mob. In discussing the film, Siskel credited Warner Brothers, the studio who financed the film, for taking a chance with an unproven director and a downer script, a risk which paid off for all of us. Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation is a slow-burn paranoia thriller featuring Gene Hackman as a surveillance specialist who uncovers a conspiracy after he is hired to record a meeting between a couple. He breaks his own rule about getting personally involved with cases he works on, sending him into a personal spiral that threatens his life. Siskel considers Hackman's performance the finest of his career, and after the final scene, it's hard to argue against that. While The Godfather won 3 major Academy Awards, it lost in 5 other categories, with Oscar voters often preferring Cabaret, including Bob Fosse swiping the Best Director award from Coppola. The Godfather Part 2 fared better with Academy voters, winning 6 Oscars. It also became the first sequel to win Best Picture. But incredibly, Al Pacino was again denied an Oscar for his role as Michael. Despite the star power in both films, Pacino's Michael is the emotional core of this saga, and his descent into darkness is perfectly captured in the final scene. Siskel called it as beautiful, as harrowing, and as exciting as the original.